The Nations Championship is getting underway in July, folks, at least the Southern Hemisphere leg of this new competition. Who are the favourites of these 12 teams? We'll go through them, give them a percentage chance based on what the bookies are saying, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on who you reckon might be in with a shout. We'll also talk about the fixtures each team has got coming up. There are a couple of teams who are given, if we convert the bookies numbers into a percentage out of 100, less than a 1% chance, essentially zero. Those two teams are Japan and Wales. They are the two bottom-ranked sides of these 12 sides. So maybe it makes sense. Wales are on the road. They've got Fiji, Argentina, and South Africa. But remember, the game against Fiji is actually being played in Wales, so it's kind of a home game and then 2 games on the road. Japan have got 3 games. Technically, they are supposed to be at home, but they've got one of their ones away as well. They've got Italy, Ireland, and France, but they are playing the game against Ireland in Australia to kind of reduce the burden on Ireland, who would have to go to Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. They get to play 2 games in Australia instead. Eddie Jones has said he doesn't mind the fact that they're going to play in Newcastle in Australia because they will be playing there at the World Cup. So it's kind of a bit of experience building for the Japanese lads as well. Then there's a couple of teams who are only slightly better, and those 2 teams are Italy and Fiji. Neither side given much of a chance at 1%. Fiji is obviously a bit of a special case because they have none of their games played at home. All 3 are in the UK. They're playing Wales in Wales, England in England, Scotland in Scotland. So the travel burden for them is not that much about flying around, but they don't get to play any games at home. This was a decision, I guess, made partly to ease the burden on some of the Northern Hemisphere teams traveling around, but also I think the Fijian Union was pretty happy for the extra coin that they can make by playing their games in the UK. And then Italy, they've got Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. Italy aren't afforded any of those home away from home games. They've got to travel to all 3 places, Japan, New Zealand, and Australia. So they'll be racking up a few air miles. Then of those countries in the second row, who are the least favoured? The Aussies are the lowest ranked of these top 8 sides, but they are ranked above the likes of Scotland and Argentina, who are both only on 4%. Argentina may be the perpetual kind of under the radar team. They're 5th ranked in the world because I've got these magnets in the order of their world rankings, but Argentina not really favoured. Argentina have got Scotland, Wales, and England all at home. They would love to beat England because their record against the English in recent years is genuinely pretty terrible. For the Scots, they've got Argentina, South Africa, and then Fiji. But remember, the Fiji game is at home in Edinburgh, so they've also got a few air miles to rack up. The Scots, which is one of the issues with the Southern Hemisphere leg of this competition. Who's next? It's the Aussies, only 5%, so marginally better than the Scots and the Argentinians. They've got Ireland, France, and Italy all at home. It's a pretty important series for these Wallabies players ahead of a home World Cup next year. And just for Aussie rugby after a pretty disappointing Super Rugby campaign, would be good to see some good performances from the men in gold. The Ireland test, I know, was already sold out. So there is still a big appetite for rugby in Australia, but the Wallabies need to give their fans something to cheer about, you would imagine. And then next off the rank is Ireland, 11%. The Irish. Despite the fact that Andy Farrell just signed on, new contract, there's some stability in Irish rugby. At least with the bookies, not as favoured as some of the other teams around them. Australia, Japan, and New Zealand. Remember, the Japan game is in Australia, so less hectic travel. You think if they had had Australia, Japan in Japan, and then New Zealand, they probably would have had to send a B team to Japan to reduce the travel. But, yeah, this way they kind of reduce the travel burden, so the Japanese likely get to face a stronger Irish side than they would have if they had been playing over in Japan. The New Zealand one's very tasty after, what happened the last time the Irish came down to this neck of the woods. New Zealand and England, 15%. Despite England's rather disappointing Six Nations campaign, there's obviously some money going on the English because they're ranked kind of 3rd equal with the All Blacks. England have got South Africa in South Africa, which is going to be mighty tasty in itself. That would have been tastier before the Six Nations, to be fair, because England were on a great run. It's got a little bit less about it now after that Six Nations campaign. Fiji being played in England and then Argentina. So the English are also going to be yeah, it's a lot of travel for the English lads. New Zealand, we've got France, we've got Italy, and we've got Ireland. The fact that we've got France first up means likely fewer big gun French players involved because they'll still be on rest or top 14 duties, so it'll be a similar situation to when France toured here last year. Cue the outrage from the New Zealand rugby media about France sending a B team. Second favourite is France, 18%. New Zealand, Australia, and Japan. That's kind of a nice way to do it in terms of the travel. Start at one, middle, and then top. If you'd had to go New Zealand, Japan, Australia, it's just a lot. It's a lot more air miles, so that works out. But as I said, the strength of the French team, I don't know if that's been taken into consideration by where all this money is going. And then your top choice, by quite some way, is the Springboks, 26%. They are pretty huge favourites for your bookies values. That's $3. Springboks are at $3. The French at $4.50. The lowest is Japan at 501. So England, Scotland, and Wales. That feels like a very winnable 3 games for the Boks at home. But that does mean they'll have to go to France on their Northern Hemisphere leg, which will be very, very tasty. But yeah, those are your favourites. It's the Boks, it's the French, followed by the All Blacks and England. What do you guys reckon? Who's being written off? What do you think about Fiji's campaign? All up in the UK. It's a shame we don't get to see any games in Fiji because it's a proper fortress. They beat Scotland in Fiji, when they played this time last year. Japan has got the 1 game away from home. I feel like England and Italy have kind of got some rough travel ahead of them, but I don't know. It was always going to be the way with this Nations Championship just because the Southern Hemisphere teams are so spread apart. You guys let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. I should have said at the start, but these are based on bookies odds, so take them with a bit of degree of caution. They're influenced by how much money goes on particular teams. There's also an over round that the bookies put on as their kind of profit margin, which we have to take into account when working these out of 100%. So yeah, but take care, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Yeah.